Hello students. Last class in chemical bonding we have studied what is an electrovalent bond. So today we are going to study more about this particular type of bonding, that is electrovalent bond. Now in the last class we have studied that electrovalent bond is always formed between anion and cation. So let us study the three conditions in which an electrovalent bond can be formed. Now as you have studied, it is formed between a cation and an anion. For example, you can take Na plus, which is cation, and Cl minus, which is an anion. Now how is a cation formed? Now, you can see there is a positive charge on sodium atom, so it can only be formed when sodium has to give out one electron, or we can say it has to donate one electron. Now if we remember the periodic table, donation of electron from an atom, that is removing one electron from an isolated neutral gaseous atom, that was called ionization potential. So if an atom is ready to give out one electron, its ionization potential or energy required is very small. On providing very small energy, it can give out one electron, and that is called low ionization potential. Second condition is atom which has having low ionization potential will be forming cation. Now on the other hand, the other atom has to accept one electron, and exception of one electron to a neutral atom, that is called electron gain enthalpy or electron affinity. So when an atom gets an electron, it becomes stable, and when it becomes stable, it releases large amount of energy. So electron gain affinity becomes very high whenever a stable anion is formed. So here you can see electron gain enthalpy has to be high. So whenever these two conditions are combined together, they are available together, then only an electrovalent bond formation is facilitated. So now what we can say, when one of the atom has low ionization potential and other atom has high electron gain enthalpy, then only these two atoms can combine through an electrovalent bond, because one can donate electron which is having low ionization potential, and other can accept electron which is having high electron gain enthalpy. Now the third condition, it is also arising from the same conditions what we have studied. Which elements have low ionization potential? Which elements have a tendency to give out electron? Which elements form positive charge? They are generally called metals. So whenever there are metals, they are combining with non-metals, because non-metals have a tendency to accept electrons. So when metal and non-metal combine, they also combine through electrovalent bond formation. Now the three conditions are there. When one atom can donate electron and other can accept electron, electrovalent bond is formed. When one atom has low ionization potential and other has high electron gain enthalpy, then electrovalent bond is formed. And third one says, when a metal combines with a non-metal, then also an electrovalent bond is formed. Now one more thing we can say, metals generally belong to group 1, 2 and 3 of periodic table, and non-metals belong to group 16 and 17 of the periodic table. So whenever any group 1, 2, 3 element combines with group 16 or 17 element, then also we can assume that electrovalent bond will be formed. Now next we have to study what are the properties of electrovalent compounds whenever two atoms are combining together by this ionic procedure, gain and loss of electron. The compound which is formed, it is associated with certain special properties. Now first property is they are crystalline solid. Crystal means they have a definite structure, definite arrangement of anions and cations, and they are generally solid at room temperature. Very rarely you will find a gas or a liquid which is bound by electrovalent bond. Generally they are all solids. Second property says they have high boiling and melting point. Now what is the cause of high boiling and melting point? Whenever you get a solid and you start heating it up, on heating generally we expect a solid to melt to liquid. Now for converting solid into liquid, we have to break the attraction force between anions and cations, and that needs a lot of energy, because our electrovalent bond forms by electrostatic forces of attraction, and they are very strong forces. So when that strong force needs to be overcome, you always have to provide large amount of energy. So that is why these elements, these compounds have high melting point, converting solid to liquid, and high boiling points, that is, if by chance a solid is converted into liquid and you are going to boil it, again you have to provide a very large amount of energy. So basically we consider about melting points for electrovolent compounds because they are solid at room temperature. Reason for this comes from because they have high electrostatic forces of attraction. This will be the key word in case you are getting a question why electrovolent compounds have high boiling and melting points. Third property says they can conduct electricity, but obvious if there are ions they should conduct electricity, but there is another condition. When these ions are not able to move, no charge will be flowing and no conduction of electricity will take place. So if you are talking about a solid, no flow of charge is possible. In solid, ions be at their own places, they hardly move. Now the condition applies, they conduct electricity in molten means when solid is converted into liquid, and aqueous state when they are dissolved in water only. No conduction of electricity takes place in solid state because ions are not mobile, ions do not move. Until there is no flow of charge, there will be no conduction of electricity. So this condition you need to keep in mind. Now fourth point is they are soluble in polar solvents. Polar solvents, you know, North Pole, South Pole, plus, minus, these are called poles. So whenever we are talking about a polar solvent, it means the liquid in which electrovolent compound is being dissolved, that liquid should have two oppositely charged faces, here two oppositely charged atoms, or some way or the other there should be plus minus charge separation. That we'll study later on in detail. Right now what we have to study is any solvent which has high dielectric constant, that is called a polar solvent. The most common polar solvents which we come across is water, and other one you can record for ammonia as well. So any polar solvent which has high dielectric constant, that can dissolve electrovalent compounds. Now question arises, why is it so? Now as I said, in polar solvents there are two poles, positive and negative. And what are electrovalent compounds made up of? Anions and cations. What happens when these two things are mixing together? Obviously positive of one thing attracts the negative of other. So if we are talking about water, it is comprised of H plus and OH minus, if this is the bonding, hydrogen oxygen. So whenever NaCl will be dissolved in it, Cl minus will be attracted to H plus and Na plus will be attracted to OH minus. So these two opposite poles, they attract one another, and as a result the bond between the Na and Cl minus, Na plus and Cl minus, that breaks, and it is more associated with water molecules which are lying around in larger numbers. So the third point we say electrovalent compounds are soluble in polar solvents. Fifth point is they are non-directional in geometry. Non-directional in geometry means whenever you are studying a solid crystal, maybe we are talking about Na plus and Cl minus, they are combined together with a regular arrangement. So what happens is you cannot decide which ion is attracted to which opposite ion. Here we can see each sodium ion is associated with 4 chloride ions. Now formula goes NaCl only. It means one sodium is combined with one chlorine, but you cannot decide out of these 4 chlorines to which chloride ion sodium is linked to. So we cannot decide the direction of bonding. That is why we call it non-directional in geometry. Now sixth thing, they dissociate into ions. Now as we have studied during the dissolution of compound, whenever an electrovalent compound is dissolved in water or polar solvents, these ions get separated, their electrostatic forces of attraction are broken, and they combine with the solvent whatever we have taken. Now as a result, what will happen? NaCl will break into Na plus and Cl minus along with lot of water molecules around. The reaction part we have to study later on. Right now, what the fact you have to note down is, whenever an electrovalent compound is dissolved in polar solvent, it is dissociated into ions. Ions which were earlier joined together, they were present together, one with the other. As soon as solvent comes in, these ions start behaving independently. Each of the ion is free from any other attraction force around. Now the next point, ionic reactions are very fast reaction. As soon as ions are dissociated, they start behaving as a unit or independently, and whenever we mix two or more ionic solutions, they start reacting together, and this reaction takes place in fraction of seconds. So that is all about properties of electrovalent compounds for today. Children, you have to study this very thoroughly, because one or the other question is always asked in board exams, and these reasoning questions need to be written in a proper manner. Thank you. Next class we'll be studying about covalent bonds.